Hello. My name is Tula. You can find me at twitch.tv/Tula133. Today, I'm going to give you guys tips and tricks of how to handle the 5.5 Abyss. Here are the opponent details for Chamber 1, and Chamber 2, and Chamber 3. I am going to go over how to easily navigate these mobs as well as the bosses without needing Natlan characters. So that's what we're going to go over today. So my goal for this is not to look at my constellations or anything like that, because I do have some cons on some of my characters on this account. My goal here is to show you how you can do these bosses without having a whaled out account or anything like that. Starting with floor 12, chamber 1, Hydro Tulpa. Nahida, I think, is a great pick here. She is able to clear the baby Tulpas with ease with just a hold skill. She could clear all of them in the world, and it makes it so much easier because he doesn't get the buff from sucking the little Hydro Tulpa, so he doesn't one-shot you. Alright, so the second half of Chamber 1 is the 2 Electro Shields of the Abyss Selector as well as the Seahorse. You can do a Neuvillette team with Setlali, or you could use Layla, Rosaria, Kaya. Those are all really good options. And you could also use Xiangling if you have an extremely high ER for solo Pyro. You could play that as well. Otherwise, you could also play a Pyro team of Bennett, Xiangling with Kazuha or Sucrose. But what you want to do is you want to break the shield on the Seahorse before it goes up, because if you are able to break it before it goes up, you save a lot of time on your run. Alright, so the secret automaton configuration device has naturally a high amount of resistance, and the only way to lower his resistance is by filling up the little circle right underneath his HP bar. If you don't have a Natlan characters, about 45 seconds after you start the fight, he does go into his pillar mode. Keep in mind that you do want to knock him down by either climbing on the pillar, using a character with mobility, using a Natlan character that could climb and or push themselves in the air to knock him down. And once you knock him down, you could do your rotation with all your numbers. Here is how you could get up with different characters. I do think the pillar one is very hard to learn, where you have to climb up the rock. I think it is much easier to use characters from Natlan or characters that have displacement or ways to get up those, like Xilonen here. She makes them easy. Setlali, you just hold spacebar and get in there. Keqing, Alhaitham, and Lanyan and Chiori could also use their E-skill to teleport. Unfortunately for Alhaitham, it does kind of suck because he does have one charge of E-skill. Kniech can face way up in the sky and teleport above it. If you aim it right at the pylon, it might hook to the pylon with his skill. Otherwise, Kniech could also do it. Zhongli could also do it. You hold E skill on pillar and you just jump up on the pillar and tap both of them. Kazuha is also just like Venti. You just tap E or hold E in Venti's case. And then Varessa, you do not have to use your E skill on Varessa. I did just out of habit. All you have to do is hold your plunge. So just like hold your left click if you're on PC, and she'll do her plunge attack. Just do not finish the plunge. Just open up your glider and then get on top. Alright, now we are moving on to Chamber 2, the second side. This one's pretty easy. First wave is going to be a mecha. Not that hard. Just DPS it down. Alright, and once that's dead, we deal with the second wave. It is just a lava dude. He is honestly just a time sink and a waste of time. So the best way to deal with him is cryo units and hydro. And here's the Wyob. So the Wyob takes a shield, and while he has the white shield, he will drain your energy, so you never get to burst. So what you want to do is use your bursts before he uses his shield, and then you break him with that, and then you get your burst back when you break his shield. If it swaps to the elemental shield, then you don't get your burst back. Another way to deal with this is the Wyobs are freezable. If you are able to keep him perma-frozen, you do not have to deal with the shield mechanic. Alright, so this is going to be floor 12, chamber 3. This is the top half. The first wave is going to be water mimics. It's pretty easy to deal with this with either a vape team, which is what I'm doing with Bennett Xiangling. Do be careful if you do bring Bennett. If you don't have a Yansan at C2 or higher, be careful because you can get vaped by the mobs. Hyper Bloom also works. You could do Nahida, Xingqiu for the damage reduction / rain swords, Kuki, and then Fischl. It also works pretty well on the Tulpa. The second wave is going to be 2 Eidolons, one of them being the Fontanian local legend. So again, just do be careful not to get self-vaped with the Bennett. Overall, this should be a pretty easy top half. It's not too bad. Alright, this is the bottom side of Chamber 3. First, you're going to deal with the baby tigers. They are Anemo and Hydro resistant. You can run Neuvillette, it's totally fine. He power washes everything, especially if you have a Viridescent Veneer and Silali or Shilonin. It does help that my Sucrose has Prototype Amber. That's why I prefer her over Kazuha or Venti. It helps a little bit to offset the Farina drain. The second wave is going to be the Hydro Bishop. It is not too bad, but again, it is Hydro resistant, so make sure you are getting your swirls on it. And the last wave is going to be a Consecrated Beast. Once again, it is Hydro resistant, but it isn't too bad, again, with resistant Shred from the Sucrose and the Silali or Shilonin if you have it. Pretty easy, pretty quick. The Chamber 3 side, whether it's top or bottom, are not that bad. Chamber 2 could be a little rough. Alright, so I will give my closing thoughts on how I feel about this Abyss. Chamber 1 could be a little tight with time, especially if you do not have a Pyro side for Chamber 1 to deal with the Millennial Seahorse's shield. Tulpa just kind of hits hard, but it's not too bad overall with a Hyper Bloom team or a Navia team. It is very important to, if there are blessings, which there have been recently in 5.0 for floor 12, this time for top half it is a Geo damage bonus on elemental skill, so Navia is really good. Take advantage of that if you have a Navia or a Chiori. Second side is cryo damage bonus, so if you have a Ayaka, Risley's also fine. You know, Sitlali as well, you also get damage from that, so make sure you are abusing that. Chamber 2, again, you don't need Natland characters. It does make it easier, even if you don't have like Kazuha or anything like that. You can, everybody does have a free Kachina, so you could use that actually. I don't think Kachina's that great, so your 3 other characters need to be really well stacked to be able to carry a Kachina, even if your Kachina is holding a Scrolls buff. But it's not too bad. Chamber 2 bottom side, again, isn't too bad as long as you have a Cryo or a Hydro to deal with the Lava guy, because that is where you are spending a lot of your time in Chamber 2. Chamber 3, I would say it's pretty easy. The only thing you gotta watch out for is on top half is getting Bennett self-vaped. That kind of sucks. Bottom side, not too bad. Once again, on a lot of viewer accounts, I actually did bottom side Hyper Bloom for the most part. And then I usually played like a Navia team with Chiori or something. So I hope this helped. If it did, great. If it didn't and you would like some Abyss help, my Twitch will be linked in the description. And I stream Monday through Friday. You could always ask me for help to do your Abyss. Bye!